parking problem.
Aloha class, my name is Chelsea Sabala and this is my final project for Psychology 100. For my final project, I will be discussing driving under the influence. This topic is actually very close to my heart because 2 years ago, my family and I lost a loved one to drunk driving. It's a very, very horrible and tragic thing that happened, and it was very, very hard to deal with. Here is a picture of the actual car that was involved in the accident. As you can see, it was a very serious car accident, and my family was completely devastated and heartbroken when we saw our cousin's car crashed up like this. Let's go ahead and talk about what driving under the influence is. Driving under the influence is basically a criminal offense of driving a motor vehicle while impaired by alcohol or other substances, such as recreational drugs, and as well as prescription drugs from a possible doctor or physician, to the extent that one is incapable of safely operating a motor vehicle, making you very dangerous on the road. Here in Hawaii, we use the term driving under the influence, a DUI. Some other states refer to it as a DWI, which is driving while intoxicated. Both mean the same thing, just different states go by different terms. Alrighty, let's move on. Why do people drive under the influence? Well, for one, they believe they're stable enough to drive. They don't believe that they're actually drunk or intoxicated enough. They believe they can handle the road conditions, that they're okay to drive, and which in most cases isn't true at all. It's the alcohol or the drugs that are actually talking for them. This actually leads into my second bullet point. It leads people to make rational decisions. They are drunk, they are high, they are intoxicated, whatever the case being. They aren't thinking clearly, they don't have the proper mindset, so they make rational decisions such as driving under the influence. Another reason why people drive under the influence is to escape personal issues. Maybe they have something personal going on in their life that they're struggling with, and they usually turn to alcohol or drugs to the answer. Alcohol and drugs are not the answer to their problems. Usually people who turn to these to fix their issues are diagnosed with alcoholism or drug abuse, and they definitely need to go see somebody to get some help. And this leads to my last one, which is being ashamed. Believe it or not, yes, a lot of people are ashamed. They're ashamed to call close friends or family and members and tell them, I'm too drunk, I need a ride home, can you come pick me up at 3 in the morning? They'd rather just prefer not to bother anybody and drive themselves home, knowing it's not safe. Let's move on to our next slide. Why is driving under the influence an issue? Well, alcohol and drug affects our ability to properly function. It could cause us to have impaired vision, making things blurry. It could reduce our concentration, make us drowsy, potentially falling asleep on the road. We'll have difficulty multitasking, difficulty receiving sensory signals. All of this is increasing the likeliness actually of getting into a motor vehicle accident. On average, 2 in 3 people will actually be involved in an impaired driving crash in their lifetime. And in 2015, over 10,000 people died in a drunk driving crash. That's one every 51 minutes, guys. And 290,000 of those people were actually injured as well. Not only could you cause harm to yourself, but you are also putting others at a danger when you're impaired driving, making you responsible for everybody on the road. Alrighty, let's move on. Let's go ahead and discuss why driving under the influence is applied to psychology. Well, there are many social theories, but the one that I believe fits best for my topic is deviance. Deviance is basically a description of an action or behavior that violates social norms, including formally enacted rule and as well informal violations of social norms. Choosing to drive while intoxicated is putting yourself and others on the road at risk. It's a form of unacceptable and very dangerous behavior. In this case, driving impaired violates the social norm and is, as a matter of fact, a criminal offense. After one does break the law and go ahead and drive impaired, usually what will happen is they'll receive a negative label over them, which we know as a stigma. So let's take action. Well, for one, don't drive under the influence. A couple things you can do is to plan everything out. Who's going to be the designated driver? Who's allowed to drink? Who's not allowed to drink is really what you guys have to decide. Another one is if you are in this situation and you are intoxicated, is to wait it out. In a case like this, time is your best friend. Time is what's going to heal all. And last one, don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed to call a close friend or family member who you trust to come grab you. There's always Uber, a taxi, or cab service, and I'm sure there's other services out there for drunk people or people intoxicated as well. Like I was saying before, usually people are ashamed to call somebody, but don't be ashamed. I'm guaranteeing they're going to be much more happier that you called them to come pick them up than if they saw your face on the news the next morning. As for my family, we're all doing very good. We celebrate Nico's life every time we're together, and we try to remember all the good times that we shared. We know the death of our cousin was an accident, and we have all learned from this mistake. Our goal is to prevent others from doing what our cousin did and driving under the influence. We know Nico is watching over all of us and is taking care of all of the family. We love you, Nico.